my name is Manjit and we're today in Leicester at the New Museum, and we are looking at the Anglo Sikh exhibition, and we've got some children that are taking events and some activities, so we're just going to go across and see what they think of it. Hello. Hi. Sorry, what's your name?
Karen.
Parren. Okay, Parren. What do you think of the event so far today?
Good.
What are you enjoying about it the most?
Painting.
Painting, right, okay. And why have you chosen this particular design?
Because it would be easier to paint it.
Excellent. Hi. And why have you decided to bring the children in today to look at the exhibition?
Oh, well, it's just the half-term holidays, and I think I found out from other groups that there's an exhibition going on, and just thought we'll have some fun with the kids.
Okay, and do you think it's important for your children to bring children to events like this?
Yeah, I think it's more enjoyable, and they get to learn more about their culture, and obviously just testing their skills at the same time.
Right, okay. And do you think it would be good for Leicester to hold events like this in the future for our children?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be more interested to go, and obviously they'll know about more of these events, and then obviously more opportunities to do different things.
Brilliant. Okay. Simranjit, and what have you enjoyed about today so far?
Making the mandir sign.
Right, okay. And did you have a look at the exhibition? Have you been to the exhibition yet?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. And what did you think of the exhibition?
It was quite good.
Was it quite good? And what did you think of the pictures we've got?
They were realistic.
They were really interesting.
We're at a new Houses Museum today, and one of the activities we've prepared for the kids is to show them how 3D printers work. Now this is a FDM 3D printer. What it actually does is it has a spool of plastic on the machine. It melts the spool of plastic into very thin layers of plastic and then lays it down layer by layer. Now what we've done is we've prepared some 3D models. So we've got some 3D models that we made. We feed them into a piece of software which slices them. So it slices this 3D model into many different layers. And then when we feed this into the machine through an SD card, what it does is it actually starts to kind of print this object. Now the way this 3D printer works is it's got 5 motors on it. So it's got one motor on a pulley system which pulls it to the left and right. There's another pulley at the bottom on a motor which pulls it backwards and forwards, and then we've got 2 motors either side which make it go upwards and downwards. Now what the machine is actually doing is slowly, layer by layer, it's basically building your 3D object. So it's melting the plastic into very thin layers, 0.2 millimeters, and then it's layering it on top of each other and slowly drying until it comes up with a 3D object like this. Now you can build like characters, you can build cars, spare parts, loads of different objects, you know, you can print with this. If you can 3D model it, or if you can download a 3D model, then you can print it like this. Now this is an upcoming technology. It's going to be very, very prevalent as the kids get older. This is going to be normal for them. So rather than them going out and buying objects, they can download the files and they'll be able to 3D print them themselves, yeah. So as you can see the motor here? See how it's moving? What it's doing is it's following a path, layer by layer, it's building up layer by layer, and then it's going to build this object. It does take a long time, so something like this will take about 2 hours. Something like this, because it's higher and it has to move up, there's many more layers in that than there is in that. So this is probably take about 4 to 5 hours to print. So at the moment they are slow, and sometimes they can have problems as well with sometimes the plastic melting too fast, or not melting fast enough and not sticking to the layer underneath. So while you're printing, you have to watch it and be very careful with it as well. So this part of the 3D printer is called an extruder. What it does is it melts the plastic, it pushes it through a very thin tube, and when it comes out the other side, it's very, very thin, 0.2 millimeters, and then what it's doing is slowly laying it down like this, yeah? Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's just like making a cake. So the way you make a cake, you make it in layers. It's same with this, you just layer by layer, but these are very, very thin layers, okay? So as you can see here, you can see the lines on there, you can actually see the layers on there, but what you can actually do is sand these down. Now when we make copies of these, what we've done is we've made silicone copies of these. So what you do is you can make a wall around this, pour in some silicone, so you put that on top of there, and see once it dries, then you've got a mold. So that's what we call a mold. Now that I've got that, I can make so many different copies, and these medals that you've been painting today, these were all made in this here. So what we do is we have a liquid material called resin. We mix that in 2 parts. We pour it into here, and within 10 minutes, we have a solid part that we can use and paint here. So is that all interesting for you lot? Did you enjoy that, yeah? Yeah.
Can you tell me how much the printing machine costs?
So a 3D print machine like this, you're looking anything from £400 to £800. So this is at the lower end of the market. So and they are getting cheaper all the time. But you have got other 3D printers which can do a lot more detailed stuff. They go into the thousands. So you got some which are like £3,000 to £5,000. Those are medium, and the really big ones that you get, which are industrial machines, they're massive. They're running to like the 500,000 and the £1 million mark as well. Something like this you can probably pick up for about, you know, £200 to £300. So it's a good little starting off, but they're getting cheaper every day.
Can we have a look at your designs that you've made today?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to show the camera? Yeah. Did you have fun today?
Yes, really.
Yeah. And if we have another exhibition, you're definitely coming to, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Sat Sri Akal.
So, Skull,
What have you come to have a look at today?
we're going to do art. We've done art, yeah. And we're doing Anglo Sikhs Wars art, yeah. And we're like, it's like quite fun.
Right. Okay. And who have you come here today with?
My mum.
Your mom. Okay. And what do you think of the exhibition?
What is that?
Sorry?
What is the exhibition?
Have you not been to the exhibition yet? The Anglo Sikh exhibition?
Oh, yeah.
Next door.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you think of the exhibition?
That is quite cool. It is.
Okay. And have you learnt about any art history today?
No.
You've not? You'll have to get your mum to take you around again.
Okay.
Have you had fun today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we have a look at what you've done so far on your designs? Okay, so you're still finishing it off? Yeah. Okay. And what about you?
I've done different patterns on mine.
Brilliant. Sastrikal.
Sastrikal.
Why have you brought your children here today?
We found out about it last week. We thought it's a great way to learn about Sikh history and to find out about the sort of different aspects of Sikhi. So we thought we'd bring the kids along today. It's half term as well. So yeah, so far they've been enjoying it.
Okay, and is it the first exhibition they've been to?
They've been to other exhibitions, but I think with this, because it's based in Sikhi, it's quite unique. So we thought they'll come here, they'll have the opportunity to learn about aspects of Sikhi. So we thought, yeah, so it's first sort of Sikhi-based exhibition they've been to so far.
Brilliant. Okay, and what do you think of the exhibition that is being displayed today?
We literally just arrived now. As soon as I walked in, one of our friends grabbed me and said, push me right towards the mic sort of thing. But so far so good, it's looking really good. I've been through bits and bobs of it, it's all dotted around the museum, but yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, and what do you think of the workshop we've got on for the children today?
It's very different compared to what sort of activities they've had before in the past. It's very unique, and it's a great way for the kids to learn about our history and our heritage by making models, for example, of the bar side as well. I've seen quite a few little models of the bar side dotted around the tables, which is quite good, quite unique.
Okay, brilliant. I'll let you get back to the exhibition then.
Thank you.
Sastrikal.
Sastrikal.
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਹੈ?
Dilraj.
Okay, Dilraj. And have you had a good time today?
Yeah.
Okay, what's been your favourite part of today?
Making the kanda.
Right, okay. And what did you go into the exhibition?
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you enjoy the exhibition?
Yeah.
So if we have another event like this, you're definitely coming to it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
My name is Gurinder Singh Man. I'm head of the Sikh Museum Initiative, and today we're at Newark Houses Museum here in Leicester, where we are showcasing the Anglo Sikh Wars exhibition, which has been running from the 11th of March to the 4th of June 2017. Let's take a look inside. The exhibition today is all about the Anglo Sikh Wars. It was between the battles that took place between the East India Company and the Sikh Empire. So today what we're going to do is give you like a backdrop as to what is contained within this exhibition. Let's take a look. The East India Company had actually entered India around the 1600 period. At that particular time, they'd actually taken over most parts of India. And it was only a matter of time before they'd come in conflict with the Sikh Empire as well. They were actually based in a small location in London, in Leadenhall Street, a small company which had tried to take over most of India and was very, very successful. However, they were unable to actually kind of comprehend what they saw in terms of the Sikh Empire, which was run by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh had already carved out an empire once he'd taken over Lahore and Amritsar. So as a result, he'd created one of the finest empires in all of Asia by actually creating and giving employment to many people from across the world. As a result of that, he was able to mint coins, he was able to create grandiose locations and buildings, which was actually to show the beauty of the Sikh Empire. He was actually employed many Europeans from across the world to actually be part of his armies, and the campaigns which were led by some of the greatest Sikh generals, including Hari Singh Nalwa and Akali Phula Singh, were seen to be some of the most notorious battles that the Sikhs have fought in history. So, leading up to the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1839, we actually start seeing that the Sikhs had actually started to be divided amongst themselves. There was successions, there was killings, and there was assassinations. At the same time, the British were also eyeing up the area of the Punjab as well. So people always ask what led to the Anglo Sikh War, what led to the first Anglo Sikh War. So essentially, the British forces had been increased all the way around the Punjab. There's preparation of boats all the way around Punjab as well. And also, the British were in communication with Raja Lal Singh and Raja Tej Singh, which essentially who were colluding with them in terms of actually getting favours from them if a war broke out. As a result of that, on the 13th of December 1845, the Sikhs moved over across the Sutlej, which they felt was their domains, and war had started with the Sikhs. This led to the first battle, which is the Battle of Mudki, in December 18th, 1845, followed by the Battle of Firozshah, Buddhawal and Aliwal, and the Battle of Sobrawa, in which the Sikhs were defeated on the 10th of February 1846. As a result, these battles pitched the East India Company against the Sikhs. So what that led in turn to was some stalemates as well in terms of the battle, but the Battle of Firozshah is when the British Empire was in the balance, because on the fateful night of the 21st of December, the British had thought that they were on the verge of defeat. So as a result, their situation had become tenuous and they were thinking of actually admitting defeat. However, unfortunately, some of the treacherous individuals in the Sikh Empire, Lal Singh and Tej Singh, withdrew from the battle, and as a result, it gave a major victory, or gave the British the victory which they were never expected to actually win. We also then see other generals hit the scene in terms of Ranjit Singh Majithia, who was successful at Buddhawal, but unfortunately did not have a better time at Aliwal when the Queen's Lancers, the British units, actually was able to go through the Sikh lines. And at the Battle of Sobrawa, what we do find is that we actually see the engagement of Sardar Sham Singh Atariwala, who became Shaheed in that particular battle. He was also in line with other Nihang Singhs as well, headed by Akali Hanuman Singh, who was a very courageous, and he actually left the battlefield, but he was chased down with the British, and he was Shaheed later on at Sohana in Chandigarh. After the first Anglo Sikh Wars, a treaty was actually enacted by the British, which essentially gave them quasi-rule over the Punjab. So essentially, the British were actually ruling parts of the Punjab through the Queen Regent, Maharani Jindan Kaur, but it was Maharaja Dalip Singh who was the actual ruler by de facto. Unfortunately, the situation had got so bad in the Punjab that the Sikhs were resentful of British rule, and the factors which led to the Second Anglo-Sikh War all revolve around the area of Multan. At that particular point, Diwan Mulraj, who was the ruler, was supposed to pay a tax to the British. When the British individuals were leaving their camp, two of these British individuals were killed. As a result, this set about the factors which led to the Second Anglo-Sikh War. As a result, there was a big siege in Multan which lasted for many months, but at the same time, the Sikhs had now actually also called for war. So this English translation is of a placard which is at Harmandir Sahib in the Punjab, stating that the British have taken over the Punjab and the Queen Regent has been banished. So as a result, the Sikhs should actually be part of this war. As a result, there was further battles, and this included the Battle of Ramnagar, which took place on the 22nd November 1848, which led to the second skirmish in terms of the British and the Sikhs. This led on to the Battle of Chilianwala. Now, the Battle of Chilianwala is a very, very important battle because this was the same location where Alexander the Great had fought King Porus in 326 BC. Now, very similar to the Battle of Firozshah in the First Anglo-Sikh War, the British were also kind of on the verge of defeat at the Battle of Chilianwala as well. Fortunately for them, they regrouped. But when the siege of Multan had finished, the British had sent so many guns to the area of Gujarat, they were able to defeat the Sikhs at this final battle on the 21st of February 1849. The Sikh ruler who was actually in charge of the Sikh forces was Raja Sher Singh Atariwala, and he is actually known for his bravery during the Second Anglo-Sikh War. So what we have here is a 3D tablet. What we've essentially done is we've actually modelled a number of key objects in 3D. The reason for doing this is so we can bring some of these artifacts alive. And what it does do, it actually connects with children so they can learn more about their Sikh history. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this object here. Can you press the buttons for me? So So essentially what we can see here is the Koh-i-noor. This is the same pattern of what the Koh-i-noor looked like in 1851. So essentially this would have been a similar kind of feature of what you would have saw, what Maharaja Ranjit Singh or Maharaja Dalip Singh would have had in their own hands itself. We also have other objects which have been modelled as well. And if we give the next person a go as well, so if you'd like to have a go. So if you can click on another button for me. Okay, so what we have here is what we call a brown bess. Now the brown bess was actually used by both sides in the Anglo Sikh Wars, and again this has been patented so we can actually show objects in a very safe environment. So what we have now here is what we could define as one of the flags which was actually found after the Anglo Sikh Wars. Now, there were several different flags which were actually used by the Sikh forces. This particular one has been found several times and was actually in a number of auctions through Christie's and Bonhams as well, and has actually found its way into private collections. So essentially, there was not one particular battle standard or flag for the Sikh forces. There was a number or a different combination of them, and this was one particular one. We can also look at a Sikh helmet as well. So if you look at this particular helmet, this would have been used by some of the Gocharas, which were the ones who were on horseback and were able to actually attack the British forces. So as you can see, the intricate patterns of this particular helmet, and there is a number of these in the UK which can be seen at various museums as well. What we see here is augmented reality. And what augmented reality does, it actually creates the appearance that you can actually see objects in front of your hand. So essentially, we have actually modelled some of these objects, and essentially you can actually see them in the palm of your hand, which actually brings you closer to certain objects. Now what we have here is what we call the Charena of Guru Gobind Singh. In Persian it means 4 mirrors, and essentially it contains Bani from Guru Granth Sahib and Sri Dasam Granth Sahib, and the Guru Sahib had actually worn this in the Battle of Bagani Sahib. So what we can see is that objects like these are very, very important to the Sikhs, and they're in private collections. But what we're doing is we're actually being able to model these so children can actually see what it would look like if they were, say, wearing them themselves, or be able to have a closer connection to these objects. We can also see a shield as well. So, you know, there's different objects that can be used in terms of bringing them closer to oneself. So essentially, it just connects the audience with these objects that we have modelled. What we can see now is a Sikh sword being displayed and demonstrated. So again, similar to the other objects that we've actually modelled, we've actually looked at also modelling swords as well. So essentially, as we know, we can't actually put some of these objects in the hands of children, obviously for them being very dangerous. But what we can do is we can actually see how children can relate to these objects and bring them closer to our ityas and give them a better knowledge of how these weapons may have been used in these particular battles. The Anglo Sikh Wars brought into prominence a number of key manuscripts which were actually found on the battlefields. The ityas that we'd lost as part of the Anglo Sikh Wars was actually brought back by the British to the UK. So what we see today here in front of us is a number of weapons in front of this grand, impressive bothi, which was found at the Battle of Ferozshah, and it was picked up by a Britisher and was brought back to the UK. We found this in the archives of the University of Leicester. And this bothi here contains Bani from Sri Guru Granth Sahib and Sri Dasam Granth Sahib as well, which shows you the kind of importance that the warriors had in battle as a result of taking them there on their actual journeys as a part of the actual wars that took place. What we see here is the Koh-i-noor, or a replica of the Koh-i-noor. The Koh-i-noor was actually prized by Maharaja Ranjit Singh from the Afghans. But once he had it, the British were always looking at as it being a prized possession. After the Anglo Sikh Wars and as part of the Treaty of Lahore in 1849, the British were able to take this away from the Sikhs. When they took it, they brought it back to England, and now it's kept at the Tower of London. What we have on display here is a replica, and we got this replica from the Shropshire Regiment, because it was a Shropshire Regiment which guarded this particular nice object and jewel during the time when they procured it from the Sikhs. What you've seen today is an exhibition on the Anglo Sikh Wars, battles, treaties and relics. We spent many months actually scouring all over the UK, working with different private collectors, as well as working with a number of regimental museums to bring this exhibition to fruition. So what you're seeing today is a number of objects and also the history of the Anglo Sikh Wars from where they started in 1845 and until the annexation of the Punjab in 1849. We are very grateful. The Sikh Museum Initiative is very grateful for KTV for coming out today and filming the exhibition. For more information, visit www.sikhmuseum.org.uk or www.anglosikhwars.com. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.